Hello, and good friggin' morning. You may notice this time is not actually going to be going with live commentary. Actually, I have to say, this has probably been the most annoying part of any challenge I've done so far. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get this train wreck rolling. First of all, yes, the audio for this thing is incredibly quiet. I'm not even sure if it's going to be coming through. Um, yeah, long story short, apparently I kind of set the volume a little bit too low on that one. Long story short, here's kind of how the deal went. So this took me about 60 attempts, all things considered. Basically, I went in with a bunch of different builds. My first thing was to try and do it with the same thing that I did earlier, the sort of ammo capacity type of build. So I went in with that, figuring, okay, this will be a good way to do it. Long story short, I found that I was able to pretty consistently get Zanubi finished off with both hand rockets, so that left me with 120 shots to take out Rimfire, but then kept running into the same issue over and over, wherein essentially he would completely wreck my bacon before I could break his legs. Now, granted, that's not usually a statement you end up hearing very often, but either way, that's pretty much exactly what the situation was. Every time that I would get into this fight, I would take out Zanubi, and then right off the bat, I started getting really good at sniping Mr. Rimfire right in the legs. Now, actually, eventually this led to a thing where I would save one of the lefty hand rockets in order to try and hit him with two rockets at once, but unfortunately, because he's so far away, the target is too small to be able to hit with both of them at the same time consistently. But long story short, it was actually kind of pretty similar to fighting Ace from AC3 with the rockets, just because... it was the same thing where right off the bat you could potentially get a free hit or two off if you ended up going and aiming at exactly the right spot. Now, here's the thing. When I was going and trying to do this with mid rockets, I found that even if I ended up getting a ridiculously accurate run early on, I kept not having enough shots to be able to go and actually break his legs. Like I said before, I ended up getting either my own legs broken or just ended up running low on AP or something like that. So I figured, okay, I'm going to try to go run him out of shots. So I went in with decoys, would basically go and run laps around the entire friggin' map over and over and over and over. But then by the time he was breaking out the chain gun and the sylphs, it still wasn't good enough. So I was like, okay, actually the best run I got of that, I managed to get all the way to Rimfire with 7,000 AP left, right? I'm thinking, okay, surely this is the one, that's, it just, that was one of those ones, where you're basically looking at it, and your eyes just go, friggin' glaze over with that thing from the Matrix, and it's just like, yeah, no, I can just see the code now. Well, here's the thing, that didn't quite work out still, because I tried that whole running him out of ammo thing, nothing. I ended up getting him all the way down to his last machine gun and a few shots left in his chain gun, and still, there was one moment where the controller freaked out, got stuck on a friggin' building, which actually, by the way, that is another factor that has been a complete pain in the neck over the course of this whole thing. And by the way, there goes Zanubi. I will point out, there will be several little pauses throughout this entire thing, because the kids kept getting into all kinds of shenanigans over the course of this thing, so there were all kinds of fun things going on. But yeah, finally I just said screw it. 30 attempts in, and I'm not even gonna bother trying to do the live commentary thing for this. We're gonna do post commentary. I'm gonna try to make that happen. So what I was thinking here, I was throwing out a bunch of decoys, because he has a tendency to throw a bunch of those swarm missiles around early on. Hello, tiny cat. What is your issue? So he throws a bunch of those swarm missiles around early on, and it's only in that first part where you're backed up against the wall where they're actually threatening. As long as you're out in the open here, you can usually just sidestep those things, no problem. But now here was the part where I ended up actually bringing in large rockets. This is the first time I actually went and started off with these, because all previous fights I'd run into the same thing where, if I could go and hit them once, it usually meant I could hit them enough times where the mid-rockets would just be the better choice overall. Now, this is one of those cases where the actual window for damaging him was so small that I actually needed to go and get a ton of damage on his legs early on. Because by the time he starts switching over to his accurate weapons, I actually failed to explain this well earlier. So early on, he keeps using his finger and his spread missiles. As the fight goes on, he switches to progressively more accurate weapons to go and finish you off, and that's the scary part here. Because as soon as he switches to that, if his legs aren't broken, there's just no way of fighting him with the rockets with any reasonable manner. Obviously, he's got his BS flying forever nonsense, so like at any point he can just choose to do that, and it's like, well, I guess I'm screwed now. So, like as you see here, once you break his legs, you can get him into this pattern right here, which will just basically allow you to stay in his blind spot pretty much indefinitely, as long as he doesn't decide to try and cross you. So he has a tendency to stick to this pretty well. So this allowed me to go and pretty much dump mid rockets on him all the way to the end of the fight. But yeah, this one actually got really tense because I almost ran out of shots here. Like, so just to set the scene, right? So I'm sitting here, like, I just finished up some work stuff. I'm like, okay, screw it, I'll give it another attempt. And this is right after just a downright heartbreaking one earlier on where I ended up almost getting him with mid rockets. I got a ridiculously good run in, I got his legs broken, and then just ended up running out of shots before the end of the fight. And so yeah, long story short, I just sat down, finished the work stuff. Kids are running around in the background doing their usual thing. One of them grabs the cord to a lamp and just like swings it down. And I think this actually happened in one of my videos before. But they somehow got a hold of this cord and they swing it down. Like the friggin' thing ends up hitting me in the middle of the fight. So they're off, starting and trying to cause all kinds of chaos in the background. I'm over here like, oh man, I think this might finally be the run, and just like keep having to pause over and over, like, oh man, it's so close, it's right there. I was really frustrated by this point too, because like I said, 60 attempts, probably even more than that. I'm not even 100% sure, but it took a few days. It took a few days of attempts, but I can practically guarantee you this is probably harder than Ultimate Zenaida, just for the sake of the rocket run. Because here's why this one has actually been challenging. The way that they move around, the way that he's hopping up and down. As you can see, with this guy, just due to the fact that it's possible to predict his movements, I just like use... Oh yeah, by the way, this is the point where I thought I ended up putting it out of frame, because I ended up having a corner over the top of the OBS window. Celebratory fireworks here. But yeah, so because of Zenobi jumping up and down and everything else, this is a fight that's just entirely dedicated to wasting your ammo, and that's the one thing you absolutely do not have any of with these rockets. So, oof. Yeah, I was happy to have this one done. I was very happy to have this one done. Also, out of curiosity, I wonder how the whole double watermark thing is going to go, because I still have the little watermark on the bottom right. But anyway, so that was some nonsense and a half right there. So, anyway, yeah, more of this coming up soon. I think the next fight was the double AC at the dam, if I'm not mistaken. It could be a different one. But either way, I don't really expect to have nearly as much trouble as I did with these two. Just because this is like the weakness for the rocket build. Actually, with the Ultimate Zenaida here, I think Rimfire is going to be a good example of how that's going to go. Wherein the plan would just be to take large rockets, bust her in the kneecaps a whole bunch, and yeah, just kind of get her to lose her turning speed. So at any rate, thanks for watching. More of this soon, and have a great day. Take care.